Welcome to Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc, the wildest mixed tag team in podcasting where the kayfabe drops and the chaos takes over. Let's ring the damn bell.
Headlocks tight, heels on the prowl, dropping elbows, hearing growl, feel the foul. No script here, just real, no bluff. Kayfabe crack, now the dirt gets rough. Headlocks, heels, havoc in the zone. Stepping in the ring, chaos at your home. No filters, no mask, just raw bare tone. Wrestling unscripted, we on the throne. Title belts, mic checks, crowd going crazy. Drop truth bombs, leaving lines feeling hazy. Beyond the kayfabe, past the charade, where legends are born and stories get made. Headlocks popping, who's hitting the mat? Welcome to the Havoc where the real talk's at. Tune in, step through, leave the fake at the door. Headlocks, heels, havoc, now hear the roar.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am one half of the greatest tag team in this podcasting business, the legend J-Mac. With me, as always, is everybody's favorite uncle and my favorite tag team partner, Uncle Slam.
What's up, family? How we doing today?
Guys, we are back with another week of wrestling. It's been kind of a dull week as far as story modes and stuff and everything, but I mean, we got a little bit to report on because we went to SmackDown Live last Friday, and we can just give you a live report from SmackDown Live whenever we get to that portion and everything. But yeah, I mean, I got a few stories here, but I am going to start out with one. I don't know if anybody has seen this, and I don't have the audio pulled up or anything, but I will have the link to it, to the Reddit account that the full audio, it's like a 5-minute audio, is linked to the Reddit account and everything. It broke the other day, and I think everybody, common knowledge, as me and Uncle Slam were talking about off camera, but it's kind of common knowledge that pretty much Triple H and the WWE portion of the creative control has no creative control over WWE, and that's been pretty much 100% confirmed now because of a leaked audio where a TKO executive, I can't remember exactly what kind of a reporter he was, something to that effect, may have been a student at I can't remember what university, I'm sorry, but it tells you in the video. Basically gets the TKO executive on recording talking about how WWE and Paul Levesque and them basically have no control over creative. So in saying that, if we know these people are raising these prices on it, and now we know they're giving us the shittiest thing that they can give us because they want to push celebrities now, which is basically what is admitted in the in the video, is that they're more interested in pushing celebrities in wrestling than they are wrestling in wrestling. So in saying that, should we be bonding together here to like just boycott WWE altogether? And as much as I hate to say it, you know, put your money where your mouth is and go over and give AEW a shot. You know, give TNA a shot. Give all these, and better yet, go down to your local shows, you know, that are happening all over your state. And, you know, or country, wherever you are, you know what I'm saying? There's wrestling there in some way, shape, or form. Go support it. I mean, there's great independent wrestling. You don't have to go watch these people who are obviously just money hungry, don't give two flying craps about you. And I'm going to be honest with you, as great of an experience as I had last Friday, and I'm not going to get into the card or anything like that until later, but just playing into what we're talking about, as great of an experience as I had last week, you know, it was fun hanging out with my friends, you know. Well, I mean, that's family too, you know, that's not just friends, that's family. 30 years, that's family. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, dang, man, we could have went and had a really, really good meal. We could
have had a couple good meals.
We could have had a big ass barbecue, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And just sat back and put some wrestling on and put some SmackDown on the tube outside
Mhm.
with a projector or something. And it's just like, now that I see that, yes, it was great because the kids experienced it, and I don't want to take that away from them. That was worth the money right there.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's just like, as an adult, when you see what you had to go through just to get the seats that we got, and not that we had bad seats or anything like that, but geez, man, I don't understand how people consistently go to these shows anymore.
Yeah. Because it's a luxury, like and we've said this plenty of times. I mean, like wrestling is a luxury; it's not a necessity. Paying rent is a necessity. Buying food is a necessity. Paying your insurance is a necessity. Wrestling is a luxury. It's like a streaming service. It's like going to a baseball game. It's like going to a basketball game. You don't need it. You just do it because you enjoy it or because you like it. And what's the first thing that gets cut during the hard times? It's luxuries. And if something is out of reach or unaffordable, which is now, wrestling is starting to be, it's ridiculous because people are greedy. You know, the same seats that we had, I guarantee you, probably 5 years ago, or at least 2 or 3 years ago, were not as expensive. And
No.
it's that anything's changed and that WWE is a whole lot better, or the product, has, they were doing anything different. It's simply because they got bought out by a bigger company and they went from worrying about caring about the fans and families to worrying about shareholders and profits and shit.
So,
And
oh, go ahead.
kind
Sorry,
of
I
like
thought you was
what
done.
you were saying, until people get sick and tired of being sick and tired, nothing's ever going to change in wrestling until there's a big enough movement where people are like, you know what? I'm not paying for this inferior product. I don't want people that know nothing about wrestling. Like I said, we've said this 100 times. Look what happened to WCW. You know what I'm saying? Like they are the prime example, and I hate to say it, but I feel like this is the downfall of wrestling is TKO coming in and making everything corporate and shit.
Sorry about that, fellas. Technical issues.
Oh, you're fine. But
But
but like you said, I mean, for the money we paid, and I mean, we're not going to go into details about how much we spent, but like you said, we could have sat at home and had a party. We could have had a really good meal, at least 2 or 3 times, going out and eat or whatever. But we do it for the children. We do it
that's
for the
it.
families and stuff like that. But I feel like eventually they're going to make it where it's not affordable. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I mean, like say a seat that cost $40 5 years ago is now $100, and and like that's just an exaggeration because we all know there's no tickets that are that cheap anymore. Like unless you just getting to be a seat filler or something like that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's just not going to happen, and it's ridiculous. Like I said, they're about to push out a whole bunch of people over greed.
So let me ask you this. And since it's just me and you this time, and not that having any other, nobody else on the show is a bad thing and everything. I just want to kind of really hear your in-depth opinion on this. Do you think realistically that we could be looking at WWE possibly being another WCW, only
Yes,
from a higher elevation, and the
yes,
fall is going to be much harder?
100%. Because like I said, I feel like the writing's on the wall. We've seen other companies do the same thing, and that theirs might be just a little bit slower as far as a decline, but the writing's on the wall. What's been, like we said, we've proved that you're taking wrestling decisions out of somebody that's been in wrestling for 30 years, and you're putting into some guy that's been in the wrestling business a year or two that knows nothing about anything that has to do with wrestling. He's never been in a match. He's never wrote a story. He's never booked anything. He's never been a promoter. And you're putting these people in charge. It's kind of like, to me, the equivalent of when it comes to going to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, you need a surgery. And then they have to check with the insurance company. And the insurance company is the one making the decision, not the doctor. The wrestling promoters are not making decisions. It's the corporate people that are making decisions, and they don't already, they don't make the right decisions all the time. They don't know. I don't know if it's just a lack of knowledge or if it's just because they think they know more than maybe a old school wrestler, and they don't. Wrestling is not like any other business. It's its own separate thing. It's not like baseball. It's not like basketball. It's not like boxing. It's not like UFC. It's not the same.
You can't fully run it like a sport, but you also can't fully run it like I don't know what else you would call it.
It's its own beast. I'm telling you, man,
It is.
because
It is.
it mixes so much of not just being a creative, like a say like a TV or like characters on like a like a reality TV or something like that, but it's got so much physicality like a professional football player or a boxer or whatever that like there's a lot of reality to it too as far as when it comes to injuries or people getting hurt or stuff like that. It's not like anything else out there, point blank period. You
Yep.
cannot apply the same rules to wrestling I think that you apply to other things, because I think I I almost feel like it's more fan driven than other forms of entertainment, because the fans decide if they're going to like somebody, if like if this person is going to go over or not. It doesn't matter what the company says or pushes. If the fans don't like you, you're not getting over it. Like it's not going to happen, and you're not going to make money, and the company's going to lose money and shit. But I feel like right now it's just we are looking at the slow decline of WWE. And it might not happen in the next 5 years. It might not be the next 10 years, but it's going to happen. There's going to come to a point when they start looking at the money and the revenue, and people are going to be like, enough's enough. I'm not paying for this. I'm not, the product that I get is not worth the money that I'm paying, especially given the times that we live in. I feel like some of these executives need to go out, as the kids say, and touch grass. They need to
Yep.
look at the times that we live in and realize that it's hard times. People don't have excess money like they used to. You know what I'm saying? Rent's a lot higher. Food's a
And he
lot
ain't
higher.
talking about no Dusty Rhodes promo.
Yeah, hard times and shit. But I'm not trying. But this is the world we live in, and I think they're just out of touch with what's going on with the regular fan. Not every fan has $10,000 or $5,000 for a seat. I mean, that's not realistic. You have that 1% of fans that might spend that type of money. 80 to 90% of fans are blue collar people that work blue collar jobs and have to save their money to go to wrestling. They can't afford $10,000, $1,500 for a seat.
Right. It's I don't know. It's it's so frustrating because the it doesn't have to be like this. And the thing that I think is frustrating is that and I'm not meaning it as a knock. I just wish one of the other two, especially the big two, would step up and not, I don't want to say take the reins and surpass the WWE. I don't want anybody to be the ultimate best. You know what I'm saying? Maybe for a few weeks. You know what I'm saying? Those 83 weeks that WCW was whooping WWE's ass was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because it made WWE step the crap up and try to whoop their ass. And then they did. I'm not saying I don't want any company to be the best. I want somebody to step up and just take the crowd. Make something that no wrestling fan can ignore, like WCW did with the NWO, like the WWE did with the Attitude Era. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to step up and do that. I'm not saying I don't mean it as an insult when I'm talking about AEW or TNA or Ring of Honor or any of the other quote unquote big promotions, as they
Mhm.
call them. I mean it as a wrestling fan. That's what makes it so much better.
Yeah.
I was there. You were there. We lived through that. We lived through, hands down, the late 90s to what, 2004, 5, 6,
Yeah.
7,
Yeah. Something like that.
right around in there, right around a decade long period was the greatest era in wrestling history. And that's even throwing, because I think there was that gap where the business took a lull there. And unfortunately, Sean and Brett were the two main guys in the WWE when that was happening. You know what I'm saying? Wrestling itself was down. But like, even the golden era, with and when I talk the golden era, I don't think of the golden era as WWE's. I think of the golden era like the NWA. You know what I'm saying? All that was the golden era. It's just somebody there that golden era when Hulkamania grabbed them, when the Four Horsemen took over. Those were moments when those companies were trying to beat the other company, not put you out of business, beat you. You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
be the best. Then
Oh,
you had that mid 90s where the beat you came in again. WCW stepped up with the NWO. Then the WWE responded with the Attitude Era. But then the WWE, instead of, I don't know. I don't know what happened, but instead of letting it be competition still, let somebody else get it. Let somebody else try to, it's still a name. You know what I'm saying? Let somebody put the pause on it, reset it, and bring it back. You know what I'm saying? Could you imagine if Bischoff would have been able to get that and then kind of partnered up with ECW?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, and I know we're talking about what if isms and stuff and everything, but it's just like, it's that. I wish somebody would just step up and come up with a moment that just grabs everybody so that we have a reason to go over to you.
So, what do you think it's going to take for, say, something like that to happen? Is it going to take a person like a Vince Russo? Is it going to take a organization like maybe a DX or like an NWO? Is it going to take, maybe a star like maybe like somebody like a John Cena or like like a Stone Cold or a Rock to come up from the ranks? Like, what do you think it's going to take for them to turn it around, or is it just they just need to get the corporate people out of their business and let wrestlers write wrestling? You know, all the above, maybe one or
I think,
two, maybe
I
none.
think it can happen with a combination. But I think for an organization like, and I don't, again, it's just the manner of the beast that the WWE is the global force in wrestling right now.
Mhm.
That's just, it's not a knock to anybody else, but at the end of the day, it's going to take a good combination of all of those, if not all of those, to really, and again, it doesn't have to be anything super duper. It doesn't have to be the greatest wrestlers. It's just got to be a moment that happens, something that shocks the wrestling world, not in a negative way. I'm not talking about like an injury or anything like that. I'm talking about
Yeah.
a story that just shocks the wrestling world. Because I'm sorry, other than the NWO, there's nothing I would say, and it's no knock to Eric, because at the end of the day, Eric Bischoff was an executive for Turner Broadcasting and was in charge of WCW. I am not knocking Eric, but when I think of the greatest bookers of all time, he's not even in my top 30.
Yeah.
He hit the target on one thing. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken, he was right there at the start of or was in charge of the shot master. I'm just saying. When Tugboat Taylor, no offense to Tugboat, he was a great professional. But when Tugboat Taylor coming in as the Shockmaster with a stormtrooper helmet on and a fur coat,
Shut the fuck up.
and then a week later, after he trips over the beams, you've got him coming out dressed up like a lineman that's going to check your power lines. What? How did we go from stormtrooper fur baby to, you know, to the
I
Wichita
can visit it
lineman?
too.
You know, I just, it just, you hit the nail on the head one time. Somebody needs to come up and hit the nail on the head. That's all I'm going to say. I didn't mean to go off on too much of a rant on this. TKO, y'all got to get it together, man, because it's just, no, I don't think it's that TKO needs to get it together. I'll be honest with you. I think we just all, honestly, I'm not going to say stop watching the product from up north, but I am going to say that start supporting other things. AEW, TNA, NWA. The NWA is on. Start supporting all these other wrestling and giving them the ratings. If all the place up north is going to do is just keep your attention on the same three storylines that's going on every day. I'm kind of done with them. You know what I'm saying? It just, I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to go on too long. But anyways, give us your opinions in the comments and everything about what y'all think about the company up north and the revelation that they have fully admitted now that TKO runs creative, not Triple H. All righty. Our first story I got, I don't know if anybody's heard it and everything, but good old JR has got his doctors did a health examination on him and everything, and he's got, they believe, the early onset of Alzheimer's or dementia. Hate to hear that. I know JR's got kind of a spotted past now, or I don't know if any of that got disproven. I don't want to put it on him if it's not true. I haven't heard anything, but I have heard disparaging things too. But at this time, we're not going to make the man suffer for that. This sucks. It's a horrible disease that, it doesn't make anything else right, but I don't want to see this man suffering from this disease. I don't want to see anybody suffer. That's just the main thing. I don't want to see a human being suffer for no reason.
And that's a terrible disease to have, unfortunately,
Yes.
because it really just kind of makes the person suffer and kind of the family too.
Mm-hmm. It's terrible because, like, I was thinking about the other day, I was like, man, I couldn't imagine looking at my kids and not knowing who they are. And I couldn't imagine, like my mother or my kids looking at me and not knowing me. It's just like, wow, what kind of cruelty is that it just takes your mind away? It's sad. But yeah, everybody pray whatever you do. I'm not here to push off any beliefs. I pray, but anybody else, feel free, send vibes, but send them to good old JR, man. There ain't no cure, like he said. He's facing it. How was it he said it? There's no cure. That was just plain and simple. And I've heard him, I've listened to his podcast a few times, and I've heard him say that when it's kind of an absolute thing, he seems like one of those guys that just makes his mind up about it, and that's it. We're just going to move on from it now. Let's build from today until we got to deal with that.
And then you can really change about it. So, change what you can change and, move on from the rest.
If I'm not mistaken, and I don't want to misquote him, but he said, he says, how is it? He says it on the show. Like in this case, he'd be like, there's no cure. So what the hell am I going to do about it? But at the end of the day, tip my hat to you, JR. I'll wear a hat for you, sir. But I hope you take care of yourself. Wish no ill will on you. And I hope they'd be cool if they just found a cure for that crap. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get too far off in left field, but they probably got sitting in a shelf somewhere.
They probably do. I know they're working on it. So
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. All right, I just wanted to put this up. I've seen this all week, and a good friend of ours, Bobby Blade, I believe it was, posted it earlier, and he said it was accurate. I want to hear your opinion. Is there anything you would change about this Mount Rushmore of wrestling managers?
um, I don't have a problem with this at all. Like I don't. I mean, you got Paul Heyman, who's one of my favorites. You got Bobby Heenan, probably genius. Jim Cornette, definitely one of my favorites. Uh, Jimmy Hart. I mean, what can you not say about Jimmy?
Rock and Roll Hall
Um,
of Famer.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, I don't have a problem with this at all. Like, I don't see who would you switch out for. I mean, somebody else anyway. Like, as far as a manager.
Not for longevity, but for impact. The only person that comes to mind for me that I could even dream of switching out would be JJ Dillon. He wasn't a
Who though?
manager for a long time as far as the Four Horsemen, but the impact of when he was huge. You
But
know what
who
I'm
would you
saying?
take off though?
Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart. Okay.
If anybody, but I have no qualms about leaving Jimmy Hart on there either. He's awesome. He definitely deserves it.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody, I'm not saying he's on mine or he's not on mine. I'm not saying that at all. It would be something I would have to sit down. I don't think I would have to dispute the first three at all.
Yeah, see, that's what I was getting ready to say. Like, I feel like the first three are a lock, and you can put them almost in any order and shit.
Yeah.
And I can't see how anybody would have any problem with that. Like I said, Jimmy Hart is like you could probably put somebody else in there. It'd be a little hard to choose, but I don't have an issue with Jimmy. Like I said, I mean, like
Jimmy would be, if you had a finalist for that final spot, Jimmy would be a top three finalist easily.
yeah,
And in saying that, I would have to actually sit down and think of a third person. Because, like I said, I could come up with JJ Dillon, not for a longevity as a manager, because Jimmy's got longevity on people, you know, left and right. That man's been doing it forever. Not that, you know, Bobby and them didn't either, and Paul hasn't, you know, either. But damn, I think Jimmy's been doing, you know, I think he still sometimes manages people on the indie scene and stuff. And, you know, what's that? Right after he quit being rock and roll. Yeah, I mean, you know, Jimmy Hart has is part of a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because he's got a former rock and roll song on the charts, right?
um,
So, have you ever heard the old song? They play it in some movies sometimes, but it says, "I keep on dancing."
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I've heard
that's
that.
him. That's Jimmy Hart. That's the Gentrys. I was like, what? Nah, I looked it up, man. Dead serious. So
Didn't
I
he write a
mean,
bunch of people's theme music anyway too?
oh yeah, Shawn Michaels, he sings on it. Yeah, like Shawn Michaels does, or Eddie, Jimmy sings on it and stuff and everything too. So yeah, he's a singer and stuff and everything. Like it blows my mind to see Jimmy Hart, you know. But that's, I guess that's why he fit that Memphis wrestling so great when he was down there. You know what I'm saying? Because it was, you know, it was Memphis, you know, it was rock and roll and everything. It was, you know, I guess, I don't know, it was great. But yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think it's a pretty good pick for a Hall of Fame. I agree with Mr. Blade. All right, what is up next here? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, check this out. So this made me sick. In, in 1987, club level seats at WrestleMania 3 cost $20. Ringside seats cost $30. $20 and the $20 in 2026 gets you a fast food combo meal, a parking spot for 2 hours, or a streaming subscription for a month. A ringside seat at WrestleMania 3 cost $30 in 1983.
What is it now? I wonder how much the markup is. It like
15,000?
3,000%, 30,000%.
Right. I'm like, and it just, I we've already kind of covered it, earlier, so I don't want to go back into it or nothing. But I thought it was funny how it played right into what I had on there. All right, I don't know if you've seen this. Reports WWE has a real interest in reuniting Enzo Amore and Big Cass. WWE is exploring the idea of reuniting Enzo Amore, Big Cass after Enzo's recent visit to the Performance Center. Enzo was recently seen at the WWE Performance Center ahead of an NXT taping, which immediately sparked talk about a possible return. What do you think about this? You think it would be good because they need tag teams, or do you think it's just going to be another death to a tag team?
Only if they do something with them. Like I said, we brought it up before. I'm just tired of them almost buying people just to hold them so that nobody else has them. If they're going to put them in there and it's going to help to rejuvenate the tag team division, then I'm all for it. Whatever it takes to make it better or more exciting. But right now, I just feel like the shit's almost just like a placeholder. I mean, how many times have we? I think Division has the title now. As far as the Raw, it's like how many times have we seen them defend it? How often? And now that what's his name? Like Logan Paul done got injured and shit. That just puts everything in a more kind of jacked up spot. Like I said, I definitely think the tag team division needs some help from it, whether it's fresh blood, whether it's better creative writing. But I think they're just missing a real opportunity with tag teams right now. Like I said, I feel like they put more effort into the women's tag team storyline or division than they are the men's.
I agree. I just think it's like my biggest fear is this is what I think is going to happen if they bring these two back, and the only reason I think they're going to bring them back is because Cass is going to be like, man, I want him to come back with me so we can come back as a tag team. Boom, it'll be a big debut. About a year later, they're going to break them up. Big Cass is going to be the next big thing because he's beat his. I believe he had some issues outside. Excuse me, outside of the ring. So I mean, I think that he was a guy that they wanted to push earlier, a few years ago and everything, but it just didn't work out that way. I don't know. I just think I got a bad feeling about it. I liked them. I thought they were hilarious as a tag team. I thought the whole gimmick worked and everything. Him talking, SAWFT, soft. I thought it was pretty cool. But whatever, we'll see. Alrighty, did you see what Missy Hyatt said about Brock Lesnar?
Yes, I have seen this.
I just heard Brock Lesnar is back. Did they find a woman who to woo him back with urination videos? Dig a big wig. Did a big wig procure him a woman as a negotiation perk? Or did he just want to get out of the house since those previous allegations are never fun to discuss with your wife if you're home 24/7?
Damn.
I mean, she went in hard, but man, at the end of the day, I love you, Missy Hyatt. I love you, I love you, I love you, but you have no room to talk. You have no room to talk about sleeping with people. Plain and simple. I mean that is no disrespect. I would love to sit and have a conversation with you, ma'am. Would love to. You were definitely a poster on my wall.
Oh hell yeah.
I'll be honest with you, but in this situation, I completely disagree with you. I believe we should just, if that's what's going on at his house, then that's between him and his wife. Why does the public always have to know what's going on between a man and his wife? Why? Because social media is the popular thing. Does everybody get privy to what I'm doing in my life? I think that's just the most asinine, stupid thing that we do in this country. And I got news for you. It's none of anybody's business. If him and Sable are good, then they're good. If they're not, then they're not.
Yeah, that's kind of between them. That's if his wife's gonna be pissed, like as long as it's not a criminal charge, that's between
Right.
him and his wife, and I'm pretty sure she would handle that, whether it be divorce or whatever.
That's it. I mean, it's really none of our business. So, I mean, I just, I think there's too much of it. I don't know what built up animosity there is that Missy has, and I don't want to know. But I mean, just leave stuff alone. It's between them. It's a man and his wife. All righty. Logan Paul legitimately suffered a torn tricep during WWE's Saturday night's main event. Announced by the WWE commentary team, the injury will keep him sidelined and out of action for several months. I believe they said up to 6 months now, with his spot on Monday Night Raw being replaced. He got replaced by Braun Breaker in the tag team because of Freebird rules and stuff. But let me ask you this. At this point, if somebody walks up in the back and looks at you and says, you're going to be the next member of the Vision, I'm going to laugh at them because everybody gets injured when you're in the Vision. Like, what is up with that? Should they just not bust this thing up and say, nope, no Vision no more?
They're cursed. You need to get what's his face to uncurse them.
Yes. You are not cursed.
Maybe that will help it, but I don't know, man. Like, they have definitely had a terrible. Like, this is probably the biggest, I think, group I've seen with injuries that have been fucking up the storyline. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Maybe just accident or bad luck, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this group has been plagued.
Yeah,
plagued with
kill it
fucking
off,
injuries.
Kill it off, go a different direction.
Think they should just blow up the whole Vision thing and start from scratch?
Yes. 100%. You know what I think would be awesome?
What?
Let this Brock and kill the Vision off. Let this Brock and Obafemi thing play itself out. Hey, and I'm gonna be the first to say, I called Brock Lesnar and Obafemi, and I'm not gloating here because I'm gonna kick myself in the butt too. I called Brock Lesnar and Obafemi being like the big story of the summer leading up to SummerSlam. I've 100% believed that Brock was going to fight Oba at SummerSlam and pass the torch, blah, blah, blah. Then all that crap happened at WrestleMania, and I got bamboozled just like everybody else did. But I'm just glad to say that Brock came back and kept my prediction alive. But
do you think it was forced, or do you think it was part of the storyline?
I think it was story. I think it was a big moment. But that's the thing, man, is WWE doesn't need big, huge, I got you moments like that. That's what they live on now. Instead of doing stuff like that every few months, give us a good storyline. You know what I'm saying? Build some stories on the mid card, on the tag team. You know what I mean? It's not just about the top 4 or 5 guys. Let's build some mid. That's what they don't do. They don't. And honestly and truthfully, I'm going to give AEW and TNA some props right here, and other companies too, including the Indies. That's what they do. They build stories on the tag team. They build stories on the mid cards. You know what I'm saying? So you're not just sitting around waiting for that main event.
Well, they probably don't have corporate people making the final decisions.
Right.
Also being like, nah, here, let's go with the same old because it worked before. So here, we'll just rehash it again.
Do you think if TKO got their nose out of it and Triple H and his team just run creative and say we're not involved in this anymore, do you think it would get better, or do you think at this point we just need to blow it up and try to start over somehow, some way, because it's just going to get worse?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Huh?
What'd you say?
I said, so do you think that because with the way it's going and everything, if TKO was to step back and say, okay, Paul, you've got it all again, do you think it would get better, or do you think at this point they need to just blow it all up and, it's just going to have to fall? And
no, I don't think you blow up the whole thing, because I kind of look at it like a person. Like, I don't think you cut out one, like cut off a leg to, save it or whatever. I think that one, you got to get the corporate motherfuckers out of there. Like, they just got to go. Like, if you don't know anything about wrestling, like if you like if you don't have at least a 20-year uh, uh, experience in the wrestling business, I don't think you should be making any fucking major decisions in anything and shit. I don't think that they're not qualified. They don't know. They don't know how the story's supposed to go. They don't know how to build a story. That it's kind of like what you were saying earlier. You know, you build from mid cards, you build from the tag teams and all that shit. They don't know that. That shit that you get from a wrestler who's been in the wrestling business. These motherfuckers from TKO and corporate and all that shit, they have no idea about any of that stuff. They know about spreadsheets, they know shareholders, they know profit margins and stuff, they know IPOs and that type of shit. They have no clue about any of the stuff that me and you have just discussed, and they probably never will. They don't care about that. They just see dollar signs. So, like you said, they just need to get them out of there first of all, and then bring in somebody who who really I Vince like let Paul do his thing because I felt like when he was doing his thing and he didn't really have anybody over his shoulder, I think he was doing a much better job. I don't know if he needs to have the final say, but I know who doesn't need to have the final say is anybody who's in charge of TKO and shit. Like wrestling decisions need to be made for wrestlers by wrestlers, not by some guy that sits in a boardroom who, like looks at paper and shit. No, like wrestling is good when it's done by people that know the business. And I think if you gave Paul maybe a little more time, or maybe if say if TNA had a little like somebody else to kind of push them or build it up or whatever, or like even AEW, like working on a little bit of their story because the action's already there and shit. Um, but yeah, you just got to get TKO out of there, man. Like I said, WCW all over again, 2.0. The only difference is it's going to take them a little bit longer to drag them under. That's it.
I hope I want, like I said, I want somebody to come up with a moment. I want a moment. Give me a reason to jump over and put my full attention
That's what I'm
onto a
saying,
show.
and I agree with you. Like I think they've been trying to manufacture some moments for a while, and I don't think it's happening.
It's not
I think,
happening naturally.
yeah, I think the closest that you've had is maybe the Brock and Obey right now that's going on. But besides that, I don't see anything. Like I don't think people care that much about the Jacob Fatu, the Roman Reigns. I
I
don't
do.
think
That would be the only other thing that brings me in because I'm really a big fan of Jacob Fatu,
I
and I
like
want
Jacob
him.
Fatu, but I think if say for example a clash in Italy is what Sunday or whatever, I
I
think the
think so.
Brock Lesnar and Obey match is going to be bigger than the Jacob and Roman, even though Roman and Jacob Fatu's tribal combat match is going to be the main event. I think there's going to be more people watching the Brock and Obey match than any other match on that
Oh, I
pay per view
agree with
by
that.
far.
That's going to be the featured match. But my thing about that is because I think that's going to be, but again, I think that plays into. I think that's been set up as to be the rivalry of the summer because
Mhm.
of Brock's full retirement at
Yeah.
SummerSlam. You know what I mean? And I think it was just kind of a surprise moment. I think it was a good moment. But again, WWE doesn't need that. They need just good storytelling. Now this is a good story. If they play it out right, this Obafemi and Brock and Brock passing the torch right and everything could be a great story. Really can.
Now,
But
do
it
you think if Roman loses, which I don't think he is, to Jacob, do you think that that could be the next big moment as far as him being the head of the table?
if Jacob wins
Uh,
and Roman puts the stamp on him, I honestly and truthfully, I think Jacob can do it.
that's a
But
lot
I
for a young
think
person and shit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but he ain't as young as you think he is.
I know, but I think as far as
he's
being that
young
guy
and
though. You know what I'm saying? Like I know he's older than he looks. You know, obviously he's got a million kids and shit, so he's been doing things for a
I
minute.
think that's the motivation. Because go back and listen to that promo he did about I want the rings.
Yeah.
I want the cars, I want the houses. I want to make sure my family's taken care of too. Not that it's a real fight, you know what I'm saying, but
Mhm.
being that man is the motivation to be the man. That's why Ric Flair was the man for so long, because there was nobody, well, Flair and Hogan. There was just really nobody more motivated to be the man. Now, yes, politics were involved, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, regardless of the backstage politics on screen, they drew the heat, or drew the cheers the way that they needed to. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, yeah.
something they were still the man. So that's motivating. I'm just hoping that he can grab that motivate, because I think he's motivated. I really do.
I
It's been a
believe he's
long
going to be a star. Like I said, I mean, I think he's a star now, but I think
yes.
he's going to be a world champion. I don't think it's going to happen in Clash in Italy. I feel like it's going to be one of the bigger pay-per-views that he actually takes the belt, whether it's SummerSlam, WrestleMania,
Here's my
um,
question to that,
something
though.
like that.
Here's my question to that. Do you think that one of two? See, I'm torn on this, because I still feel like there's something left unsaid about The Rock coming back to challenge Roman.
You still think that the see? I don't know. I
I
haven't
think
seen
that they're
anything that makes me
holding
think
that
any
in
of
the
that.
background. Well, think about it. TKO's all about their celebrities now. Rock's the biggest celebrity in the world, especially the
True.
biggest. He's the biggest crossover celebrity ever. From wrestling to movies.
Yeah,
Hogan was
I agree.
big. Hogan was a crossover celebrity, but he
Yeah,
wasn't
but he wasn't a
crossover.
movie star and shit.
Right.
Right.
He didn't have the same resume that
The Rock does.
Dwayne Johnson, The Rock,
Yeah.
has.
The Rock has a is box office plain and simple.
Yes. Not that Hogan wasn't, but the Rock took what Hogan did and expanded on it. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I mean, I think that there's something there with that. I think that could come out. I don't know, man. I'm torn at this Clash in Paris, because I don't think Roman's ready to leave just yet, but I think it's not going to be long. And I honestly and truthfully think that somehow, some way, they could work by Royal Rumble or something like that.
Mhm.
Rock and Roman story, to where he challenges the final boss and he beats the final boss, because you're not the true head of the table until you beat me, and you ain't never beat me, type thing.
Yeah.
And he beats him, claims his head of the table. And then by WrestleMania, Roman's walking away. You build up Jacob in this match, so that way he can look like a contender, but just came up short. But by WrestleMania next year, he's ready to be the head of the table. And you build him up for the next few months as a super monster that's just demolishing people, taking belts when he wants them, this, that, and the other.
Well, that's kind of what he's. I mean, they built him up now. I mean, because he pretty
Right.
much destroys the Usos, Roman Reigns.
He's what Solo was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I think that they put him up to that point of, dang, man, he's going to be Roman better watch his back,
Yeah.
by
Yeah. Yeah.
WrestleMania. And then, after he beats The Rock and he's the head of the table, all you see is Jacob sitting there looking at him.
See,
You
I
know what I'm
almost feel
saying?
like he's going to start his own bloodline. I think, like, I feel like there's some other Samoans that are going to come over, and it's going to be like a whole new
Zilla.
book. Yeah, Zilla.
I want to see Zilla, if
Yeah,
anybody.
because I've heard his name thrown around, and I think that would definitely be a huge pop if he did show up. Because obviously, I feel like the Usos are going to show up in the match regardless. So if he had somebody show up and kind of equalize shit, I think that would be definitely a big pop.
Yeah.
Um,
But see,
I
you've got
don't.
time to do all that, and plus
Yeah,
getting back to being a singles, guy by WrestleMania next year and everything. I think it's a missed opportunity if they don't try to get this done, especially if Roman's talking about wanting to leave,
I
for
think he
movies and
eventually,
stuff
like I
like that.
said, is going to because, like I said, one, I think he got enough money. I think he's looking towards Hollywood. He wants to get that movie money.
Yep.
I don't think he's a box office like The Rock by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he could be, you know, on some television shows. I think he could, be, maybe some muscle in a couple films or something like that. I don't know if he would be as lucky as like Batista to get a, major role, something like that.
I think he could take over the role as Rambo.
Um, well, I mean, it doesn't take much talking for that. So yeah, anybody do that.
Well, no, he's even got the look too, the long black hair, the muscles and everything.
Yeah,
All he's
don't
got
talk
to
much.
all he's got to do is cry a little bit and everything. All righty. Moving on along. We've been long winded tonight. So Bret Hart was talking about marijuana in wrestling. He said it's not a good idea to let it's not a good idea to tell these wrestlers to quit smoking weed. They smoke marijuana. They go to bed. They don't bother anybody. It's like a therapy. It's good for them. It keeps them out of trouble. Bret Hart on 360 Days documentary. What do you think?
I mean, compared to what else they could be doing, like alcohol, painkillers, cocaine, heroin, fentanyl. I mean, it sounds pretty reasonable to me. It makes sense and shit. Like I said, I mean, I think it's even probably less dangerous than alcohol. And of course, we all know alcohol is legal or whatever. I think he has a point. I mean, like
Well, this
all the
is what
things
he
you can.
fully said. Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just
I,
gonna say. Oh, go. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, out of all the things like you could be doing, and if that's the worst thing you're doing, then I'll take that any day and shit. Like, I mean, what's the worst gonna happen? You're gonna get up and fucking eat all the shit in the fridge. You might eat a cheeseburger you're not supposed to. If you're on alcohol, you can wreck and kill somebody. You might go out and fight somebody. Hell, if you're high, man, you ain't trying to do no exercise. You ain't trying to do no work. You're trying to sit there and watch Netflix and chill.
Right. So Brett said, I remember they came in and told the wrestlers no more smoking weed, and I remember thinking that's a big mistake. Everything else is a good idea, but it's not a good idea to tell these wrestlers to quit smoking weed because all these wrestlers that smoke weed, they go to their room, they smoke marijuana, they go to bed, they don't bother anybody. It's like therapy. It's good for them. It keeps them out of trouble. I remember saying to somebody, I said, you watch in a few months from now, drug testing them for marijuana is going to force these wrestlers to start drinking heavy amounts of alcohol and start taking pills because they can take pills. I'm not kidding. Within a year or two of that, they see wrestlers dropping dead left and right. And it's been going on ever since. Bret Hart via 365 Days documentary. Now, I am going to agree with Bret Hart, but I'm also going to take a little poke fun at him too, because Bret Hart just seen everything coming, didn't he? He knew this, he knew that, he knew this was going to happen, and a few years later, it did.
Well, I'm just saying he is from Canada. They've had weed legal for a while, so maybe he just
No, 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 no. I'm just saying it's hilarious how and you hear his interviews and everything. He's like, I told him not to do this and everything, and 4 years later, they did it, and it happened.
he's a wise man. He's a wise man.
It's the gray hair, right? It's great.
I guess so. When you're the best there was, best there is, the best there ever will be. I mean, I guess you got to be right about some stuff all the time.
I agree with him. I mean, if that's the worst they're doing, then
Yeah, like
yeah, is what it is. I think I'd rather see them do that. Okay, so this is where I wanted to get into it with you about. So Kevin Nash came out the other day and said if they're going to play by these rules, talking about TKO with the way the talent's going and everything and the creative and all that stuff, he said let the boys play by the same rules. Go through the Screen Actors Guild. Kevin Nash regarding the TKO pay cuts. Click this podcast. So I've got more of what he said here. Let me flick it up here onto the screen to where I can read it. It says Kevin Nash is calling for major structural change in professional wrestling, urging talent in WWE to consider unionizing under the SAG AFTRA following reported pay concerns tied to the wider TKO group holding structure. Quote, you can't have it both ways. If they're going to play by those rules, let the boys play by the same rules. Nash argued that wrestlers should be treated similarly to actors in heavily produced television environments, suggesting that modern wrestling programming is comparable to scripted TV productions that qualify for guild protections. He pointed out how structured and produced weekly wrestling shows have become compared to them to SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, for anybody that doesn't know, covering productions like Curb Your Enthusiasm, saying talent should be recognized and compensated under similar standards. His comments amid ongoing conversations about pay structure, corporate control, and creative labor within the wrestling industry under TKO ownership. A debate over wrestlers' future as both sports and performance is once again gaining momentum. What do you think? I mean, if they can get the protection under SAG, do you think that they do it?
Well, I've always been a person that's been for unions anyway and shit. I always think there's greater numbers and powers and stuff. And I know they've tried before, and obviously Vince shot that shit down with quickness. You can ask Jesse the Body Ventura about that and shit. Um, but yeah, like I mean, I think it would be a great idea, you know, man. Like for them to get a union and shit. I don't see it happening. Uh, I I think it's interesting because I think I'd heard uh, um, Kevin Nash say was it a podcast recently or it might have been in print that he was saying something about if you know basically where wrestlers are wrestling less nowadays that they maybe they should get paid less. You know, maybe they should take some of these pay cuts and shit. Which I think is kind of odd coming from him and shit, being like, hey, you know, maybe they should since they don't wrestle as much. You
Yep,
know,
I 100% agree. You know, if you're not going to protect your talent, then your talent's got to protect themselves. And, that's just the bottom line. You know what I'm saying? You
yeah,
can't blame an employee for trying to get the best deal that they can.
because
That's
that's what
their
the
job.
boss is doing. Like, you know,
That's
and the
it.
boss is trying to get the best deal he can. He's trying to
That's
get as much work
exactly
out
it.
of you
Why is it
for
okay for a corporate guy to get the best deal he can, but it's not okay for the everyday man that makes the money for the corporate guy to
exactly,
get the best deal they can get? I mean, I ain't
exactly.
saying you got to be greedy. We all understand there's a hierarchy in this world now. We get it. As adults, you realize it. You know what I'm saying? There's some people that are going to get through, and there's some people that's not. We
Mhm.
understand that now. But even at that, treat the people at each level the best you can treat them, and let them at least enjoy that level. It's
For real.
pitiful. It's pitiful. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just I don't know, stupid. Get it done, people. Get it done. I think they need that. I think that would help if they can do it legally. Do it. I'm for it.
Especially with TKO in the works and shit. Because, like I
Yep.
said, I feel like they just don't give a fuck about the employees anymore.
But
Like,
do you think something like that would hurt like an AEW or a TNA?
if if they got unionized,
Yes, because and not intentionally. You know what I'm saying?
um, it just depends on really on ownership. Like if ownership is the willing to like negotiate fair and that, then I don't think it'll be a problem. But I feel like WWE is not that company that's going to be fair with anybody. Like they're going to try to get whatever's best they can and give you
Does,
what scraps are less. You know,
what
and that,
what if a union, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but think
No,
about this, because this just came to me. What if a union kind of how do I say this? What if the wrestlers, and I'm talking about the wrestlers across the board.
mhm,
It's an across the board thing. You know what I'm saying? With doesn't matter if you work for WWE and Billy works for AEW and Susie works for TNA.
yeah,
It's a deal across the board among wrestlers as a union under the SAG. What if, because of that, it forced the companies like TNA, WWE, AEW, and all these companies to come together as a new NWA, so to speak, National Wrestling Alliance.
I mean, still have same companies, but they all kind of work together.
They would have to, yeah, to where it forced it to where they would have to come back together, almost like the territory days.
That would be an interesting concept. I don't know if that's honestly feasible.
I don't
Uh,
know.
Even with a union, and for that to happen, you would have to have the wrestlers agree and have the owners to each company agree to that.
Well,
And
but
I don't.
you would think it would behoove the owners to come together to try to get the best overall deal, because all the wrestlers are under the same deal. Doesn't matter what company. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's not always the case and shit. It's like it's supposed to be like a prime example, like where I work at and stuff. You know, we're union, but not every warehouse or plant is the union, and they all do their contracts at a different time. Now, some places get better deals depending on how long they've been there, or whether they just worked out a better deal than say
Right.
other place and stuff. So I think what WWE guy might get compared to a TNA guy or a NWA
Just going to
guy
depend on that
might be a
independent
different little as
contract.
far as a pay scale. You know,
Yeah.
WWE might have this pay scale. You know, AEW's got this pay scale, and then say NWA's got this type of pay scale and shit.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I just got to thinking about that. I was like, I wonder if it would, I wonder if there's a way it would force them to do something like that. You know, it would take all the wrestlers from every company to come together and force
Yeah,
the same deal overall.
yeah,
I
that's
don't
a
know.
big if and shit.
Yes. Keep your eyes peeled, though, guys. Could be a new, wrestlers could be getting unionized. Who knows? Well, it seems like without unions, it seems like AEW is losing its deal with New Japan. New Japan put out a notice of termination of AEW content distribution service. We
Oh
sincerely
wow.
thank you for your continued patronage of New Japan Pro Wrestling World. We hereby announce that the distribution of AEW content, AEW Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, Battle of the Belts, AEW Now, on New Japan Pro Wrestling World will end as of August 31st, 2026, due to the conclusion of our contract. Please note that updates to the latest content for AEW Dynamite will cease after June 24th, and for AEW Collision after June 27th. Subsequent latest episodes can be enjoyed on myaew.com, all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. So, like, do you think? I don't think this is necessarily anything to scramble about, because a new deal can always be worked out. But I mean, and I'm not trying to knock AEW. I just wish that they could get stable somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the biggest thing that's hurting AEW right now is the stability. Nobody really knows where they're going to be watching them. After a
Yeah,
certain
I don't think they
time.
even know to be honest and stuff. I
Right,
think
and
it's
then
one of those things that what the thing that made them great is also the thing that's hurting them at the same time.
yes,
I think all the action, a lot of the blood matches, or hardcore matches, drew a lot of people in, but at the same time, it's chasing other people away.
Well,
And
and not only that, I just think that they need to get like a really, really good streaming deal and stick
yeah,
to it. You know what I'm
well, like
saying?
I said, that's the catch. I mean, that's the catch because to have a streaming deal, you got to have sponsors, and there is hardly what sponsor wants to attach themselves to
Right.
that type of wrestling. Um, I mean, that's their biggest thing. Like I said, that's what is hurting them. What made them great is what's killing them now. It's like that
Especially in
action.
today's world.
Yes, because people are so, I don't want to say sensitive, but a lot of shit unfortunately is about perception, especially when it comes to the media and companies and attaching your name to a certain brand where it might have a negative connotation or be like, okay, well this streaming app, which doesn't happen mostly, it's mostly television channels. Oh, well they show this and this always has blood and it has guts and it has this and it has that. Oh, my kids can't watch that. Oh, you need to turn that. And then if you don't have any viewers, then obviously sponsors ain't going to come and want to put their money there because they're not going to have anybody, to see their products. So that's to me that I feel like that's what's really hurting them. It's like they need a good either television deal, they need a streaming deal, but almost to do that, I feel like they almost got to change like who they are, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I agree. I think a lot of things has to change. I think AEW and TNA have the potential to really rival the WWE. And I'm not talking about giving out the same product. I'm just talking about making the product something that the world wants to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like you was just saying, it's, yes, it has its fans. And I'm not knocking those fans, but it has its fans the same way ECW had its fans. You know what I'm saying? It's not the worldwide. It's you don't have to completely make a show a Disney show to put on a good show.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I mean, yes, you got to think about the kids and the family friendly atmosphere, but you can do that within the realm of certain things. You know what I'm saying? No, you don't need the sex and stuff like that. But as far as the violence, you're coming to a wrestling match. If you don't expect any violence, then why in the hell are you even here?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, then go home. Don't pay your money. If you want to waste $12, you can pay for my ticket. I'll be glad to save $12. It's stupid. Don't go somewhere where you expect one thing. You don't.
yeah.
I'm not going to go to a horror flick and not expect to see some gore and blood. Let's stop nitpicking about bullshit and just, honestly and truthfully look at everything at the way it is. Spend your money where you want to spend it. But man, you don't have to be PG to be wrestling, but you don't have to be attitude era either.
Yeah, I almost feel like TNA's almost taken a step back. I feel like it's almost like it's WWE, AEW, and then TNA. I don't know if they just kind of went stale. Like I know they just had a big pay per view not too long ago and shit, but they just seem like they're like the third child and shit that everybody's kind of forgot about or whatever. I don't know what's going on with the product right now.
I agree. And like I said, I want TNA to be good. I really do. Because I was a big fan of the days I could watch WWE or WWF and then go switch over to WCW. You know what I'm saying? I know I had wrestling all weekend. At some point in time, I'm gonna be watching some wrestling.
Yeah,
It was like I don't know. And it's not just AEW. I wish TNA would do it too. I wish they would just reach up and grab that brass ring. I'm not saying be WWE. Just grab something, do something. So my last story tonight, have you watched any of the WWE biography stuff?
no, I still haven't caught up with that yet.
So uh Animal, I can't not John, I can't remember his name. His first name, I apologize about that, Mr. Laurinaitis. I can remember his last name, Laurinaitis, but I can't
Yeah.
remember his first name. It's terrible. Um, so you know, Animal was
Mhm.
John Laurinaitis' brother
Yeah.
in real life. Okay. So they did a thing about the Road Warriors slash Legion of Doom. And you
Yeah.
know what I found out? Oh, I told you about this. Speaking of which, we went to SmackDown this past Friday. We'll get into that again, like I've mentioned before on the show. But I was talking about big moments that I have been at Rupp Arena and watched on Monday Night Raw. I know it's not SmackDown, but it was Monday Night Raw. It was the only show there was back then. Shows you how old I am. Um, but it was at Rupp Arena that Draws pushed
Mhm.
Hulk off of the Titantron, and I was sitting right there in the audience, and I watched it. It was, Jim Ross in the documentary is like people didn't like it. It's not that I didn't like it; I just didn't know how to take it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's the first time I'd ever seen homicide committed on on WWE TV. You know what I mean? I didn't really know what the hell was going on here.
Homicide on TV
I
the
was like,
first
I
time.
know it's got to be rigged somehow, but what the hell just happened? You know, was it an accident? What was it? You know, it wasn't good. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good. And it just wasn't a good look for the LOD.
Yeah.
But anyways, so they did the biography on the LOD, and this is what Animal's wife said. She is not happy. Let's just put it that way. Kim Thurman Laurinaitis, the widow of Road Warrior Animal, went off on the AEW WWE on the sorry, I said AEW. I apologize. I got them on the brain. Went off on the new WWE A&E documentary, blasting it as literally disgusting and claiming she was never contacted despite being his actual wife and the one that was with him the night he died and years before. She mocked the idea that the documentary was supposedly about respect for animal and the writing, quote, this is supposed to be about respect for Joe and the LOD slash Road Warriors, right?
Yeah.
Unquote. Before adding, I can guarantee you my husband is not happy in heaven. Kim also promised that the real story and truth of all of it will come out and vowed, I will not be quiet anymore. Guys, there's a lot of quotes in this, so I'm not trying to just say quote unquote and crap all the
Yeah.
time. She also ripped several people featured in the documentary, sarcastically asking, do they give out Oscars for acting performances in this? Wow. While calling some interviewees phony asses getting their irrelevant moment. According to Kim, some of the people appearing in the special never kept in touch, wouldn't even walk over to speak to him and talk to him much shit and talk so much shit. Sorry. She accused them of pretending to care about Animal now that he is gone, saying people pretending to be friends, people pretending to tell the truth at my husband's expense. Cam became especially emotional over how the documentary reportedly portrayed Animal's death, yelling, what in the F am I watching? And insisting this is not how my husband died. Give me a second. We'll go over to this one. Boom. Let's see. It's not how my husband died. She clarified that Animal died in their hotel room, not at a hospital, writing, he died 9:22 at our hotel, not a hospital, and I was the only one there with paramedics. She shared that she held him for over an hour, waiting for his daughters to arrive before he was taken away. Kim closed. Accusing the documentary of ignoring the real pain Animal experienced in his final years, saying, let's talk about the struggles and how much he went through and cried over the past 10 years, while labeling the project a shady ass produced show not endorsed by his wife.
Whoa. They didn't hold back on that one, did they?
No, she is not happy. And I believe there's more. These are some screenshots of what she actually said, too. It's so from her account so that people see it's not, well, I mean, It could be faked and everything, but I looked it up. She really said she's not happy. Let's just put it that way.
I
But
mean, do
see
you
that
blame her though?
right, and that's what I was going to say is that I feel like the WWE is going to get themselves in trouble by telling their history. You see what I'm
Kind of
saying?
whitewash all the bad shit out and just leave all the good shit, like like all these people
Yeah.
were just
Well, just not
saints
even
and
that,
never.
just the inaccuracies.
Yeah,
And I think that they're going to do that to the point to where they're going to get themselves in trouble because people are going to start standing up to this because they know that they can hit you for some money. You're defaming somebody,
hmm
if you make them look a certain way and they're not that way and it wasn't that way. Why wouldn't it, if, say in 30 years, somebody's on, takes our show and tries to take words we said, flip it, and this, that, and the other. You know how that crap happens all the time. Take words we've said on here, flip it, sound bite it, whatever. And, 30 years from now, somebody's trying to say, well, X, Y, and Z about Uncle Slam or A, B, and C about Legend J Mac.
hmm
Your kids are naturally going to stand up and say, "Hey, no." What I'm saying? You're not going to defame him like that, especially if it's not true. So I don't know. I just feel like they're going to get themselves in trouble with some of these biographies if they don't start telling the real truth and not just the WWE truth. It just seems a little, I don't know. I don't know. Um,
one
it,
sided.
yeah, it's gonna be bad, I think, and I think it's gonna lead to a lot of possible um, lawsuits. A lot of people are gonna. I don't know. I just think it's bad. I think they need to just start telling the true stories. Plain and simple. That's it.
Yeah, tell
Well, I
the
mean,
good with the bad and shit. Like you don't have to scrub everything. I mean, like people are human. People make mistakes.
it it makes it for a better story.
Yeah,
My opinion. I mean, to be honest with you, I would rather people are human. I get that. I'm not going to judge them because of the fact that they had a problem. I love Jake the Snake Roberts' story. I think it's a great story. I mean, look at it. 30 years later, him and Cheryl Roberts, the woman that was, Rick Rude was talking to that left him years ago, is his
yeah.
wife again. You know what I'm saying? Because he got clean. He finally fought and got clean. That's the greatest redemption story you could talk for a
hmm
human being. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a wonderful story. So why would we not celebrate that and everything? I don't know. I just let's celebrate the good with the bad because the bad's what brought you here. I don't know, but anyways, Um, we are going to get into a few results real quick, brief summary, and we'll talk a little bit about our experience at SmackDown. We'll let you good people get on home so we can go to bed.
Yeah, we're old. It's way past our bedtime.
Yes, that's why we call him Uncle Slam.
Exactly.
I'm pulling up my results here. So Uncle Slam, if you want to go over
All right,
Raw and NXT and stuff real quick, and then I'll
not a
do these, and
problem.
then we'll end
Got
it
you.
with our SmackDown.
All right, let's do as far as the result. We're gonna start it off. This is Raw. Paul Heyman was in the ring. Obviously talking about Brock dominating Obafemi. Then Obe came to the ring with a signed contract that Brock had already given to Paul to give to Adam to give to Obe. Obviously, I feel like this is going to be the biggest match of Clash in Paris, bigger than the Roman and Jekyll Fatu. Um, so I think it's got potential to be pretty big and shit. Next, we had the Intercontinental Championship match between Devon Evans and Penta. Uh, Definitely a good match. A lot of high flying. I thought Javon Evans almost killed himself at one point when he jumped out of the ring and with he jumped out of the ring and hit his back, or Penta pretty much picked him up and power bombed him into the announce table. But it looked like he fucked his back up. Like, and if he's not, then he's lucky man and shit. See, next we had Austin Theory was a little upset because he found out that Logan's going to be out and was worried. He's like, well, then what do I do? Because I'm a tag team and I don't have a tag team partner. Like you said, they basically invoked the Freeburg rules where they can just plug and play. So they said they're going to bring in the Braun Breaker. So since he was excited about having a tag team partner, he decided to get payback for Logan Paul. Went out and attacked everybody that he felt was responsible for Logan's injury. First person he went to was Joe Henry, who's been singing the "Can We Get Logan Paul Fired" song, and basically took a chair to his back
Paul,
and then took it to his head.
Paul, can
Yeah.
we fire Logan Paul? That's great.
Yeah, so that was definitely kind of and let's see. Next we have Bailey and Lyra Valkyria versus Raquel Rodriguez and Roxy Perez. I want to say this might have been for a number one contention spot as far as tag team, but I'm not sure. I don't know if Bailey and them already has that locked up or not. But they ended up getting the win at the end. Bailey and Valkyrie defeated Perez and Rodriguez. LA Knight came out, basically did a promo saying he's, thinks he's going to be a Bloodline 2.0. Then, not Mid-Card J, but Jimmy Uso came out and was like, look, win the King
Jimmy
of the Ring,
Jam
put your name.
Uso.
Yeah, he was like, King of the Ring's coming up. You're gonna put your your name in, be King of the Ring, get you a title shot. If you want to go after Roman that way, that's fine. But basically, stay out of our business. He said, look, I'm going to make your business my business, and they gave a little warning. So I definitely see some heat coming up between there. Next match,
I would like to see Jimmy Uso win the King of the Ring. Just want to throw that out there. Hot take. I want to see what Jimmy Uso can do as a singles wrestler.
I want to see LA Knight. I
want to see LA Knight too, but I'm saying as far as the Usos, mid card didn't work. Let's see what Jimmy's got.
I agree with you on that. Besides the mid card part, I don't.
Let's if we're looking somewhere else, let's bring some Jimmy Uso up and see what Jimmy can do as a at least put him in the situation to where see if he can. We just got to teach them both to stop super kicking every other move.
I don't know if that's possible. Next match was Seth Rollins versus Montez Ford, and I swear this nigga this man Montez Ford, it looks like he just jumps over people when he gets out of the damn ring and shit. Like,
oh no.
I don't know if you watched him, but when he flips out of the ring, he pretty much almost flips over the people. Like, I feel like he just overshoots them or something, like, and he just lands, he just grazes them or something. Like it's insane.
They're getting ready to split the Street Profits up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Montez getting ready to be a singles.
Yeah, definitely see that coming too.
But I hate it because that Dawkins is going to get buried.
Oh yeah, to what's her face? What's her? I cannot think of her name. Pregnant too.
I can't remember.
Damn it! Yeah, she showed up in WrestleMania.
Oh, Bianca.
Yeah. Next we had a Rey Mysterio versus Rusev for a title shot versus Penta. Obviously there was a little interference because of what's his name from NXT Alter Ego, Ethan Page. Ethan Page.
I love Ethan Page.
Interfering, so that brought in Dragon Lee. I'm pretty sure it is. Dragon Lee came in, kind of turned the tides.
You see Ethan Page being the next big thing in the mid cards?
I definitely could. Definitely, because I feel like they're pushing him for a Intercontinental Championship run.
Do you think
Um,
that he will be able to surpass that and go to the world title reigns? Because what I want to ask you as kind of a side question to that, do you think that the WWE is trying to push him as the WWE version of MJF?
I don't think so because I can see why you would want to say that, but I still think they're totally different people. I think in time MJF will get a world title shot. I think right now um, he's good with just the Intercontinental. I
MJF's
don't
been a
know
world
right.
champion. Or you mean
Um,
Ethan Page?
yeah. Ethan
Okay.
Page.
Okay.
I, I don't know if he's ready for that type of power just yet. Not saying that he won't be later on. I just don't think right now he might be ready for it or whatever.
Makes sense. I see what you're saying. So
Let's see.
let me ask you this real quick.
All right.
Well, I just will not ask you. I just want to tell you this. Whenever we go off here, if you haven't seen it, I'll be sure to send you the clip where MJF is talking about why Bret Hart is not the greatest, better than Shawn Michaels ever.
I saw that
Yeah, he
that
said
interview. I
he
was
said,
gonna
but
say
he said, but he
trash.
is. He said, but he is better. And MJF, just like the heel he is, he says, in what world though? I was like,
Yeah,
dude, but that's what makes him great. He knows how to respond. He's
yeah.
quick. He's
He
a
cuts a great
great heel.
promo. He
Yes.
gives good interviews. Like he's quick. He's quick witted, quick on
And
his
he's
feet.
honest about wrestlers too, especially,
Yes. Because he gave
Bret Hart and Shawn.
like I said, he gave his opinion, like we all do. And everybody has an opinion, just like an asshole. Uh, but like I said, I mean, some of the stuff he said made sense, and I get why from his perspective. Like you said, if you're talking about biggest draws, that's Hogan, Stone Cold.
Right.
Who else did he say? Rock, and then you could switch out a couple. People maybe like who else did he say? You could maybe Ric Flair or somebody else like interchangeable. But like then when he said his favorites, that was totally different or whatever. So I respect what he says, and obviously he knows what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he's a great wrestler and shit.
So MJF, if you ever want to come on Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc,
Yeah,
we're here for you.
but I respectfully disagree with his opinion.
Oh, I respectfully agree.
I figured you would say that.
I mean,
All right. Then
just
we
going with the
had
professional.
the the tribal combat signing between Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns, which is basically them signing pen to paper, talking shit. They talking about dog walking each other.
Oh
The other
yeah,
one's gonna have to acknowledge them. Blase, blase. So it'll be interesting to see who wins and what actually happens once that does pass. Next, we're gonna jump over to NXT, and it was jumped off by Kalani Jordan versus Ren Sinclair. I don't understand why Kendall Gray is always there. Like, what does she really do? Is she just there to look cute or some shit? Because she barely ever wrestle. I thought she was supposed to be like the next big thing, but it just seems like she's more of a manager. She don't even really wrestle that much. I don't understand that. Yeah, I really don't get that. But the match was pretty. I don't want to say one sided, but it was pretty one sided. Um, Kalani Jordan's been on a rampage lately. I don't think she's lost pretty much to anybody. I don't know if that's putting her for a title shot because obviously the women's division's pretty stacked right now, given all the different women coming out. So, but I feel like that's the only really place for her next. Like I don't. She's got to get a title coming soon because she's just winning too much. Next we had Dark State explain why they take they attacked Saquon Sugar. I don't know if people know or not, but the week before last they had a match, and after the match was over, they lost, so they blamed it on Saquon, not Saquon, yeah, uh, as being the reason why they lost. So they basically put him through a table, beat the crap out of him. They just explained that he was because he wasn't a like Division One athlete because he wasn't a All Star or he was just a indie wrestler that he wasn't their caliber and he wasn't in the league. Next, we
Okay.
had a match for the speed title. There's a speed title tournament going on right now. I guess it's supposed to be kind of international because they have a lot of people from different countries kind of competing. One of the matches was Sean Legacy versus Dora Doran Van Dutz. I'm probably butchering that name. I apologize in advance because I'm pretty sure I
I
have.
do it all the time. Don't feel bad one bit.
The Legacy and Van Dutz goes to a 3-minute draw, which means nobody won. They basically ran out of time because when you only have 5 minutes, well, what the fuck do you expect? Next, we had Jaden Parker versus Layla Diggs, which I think is a new addition to the roster. She did have Natty in her corner, but Jaden Parker, which is one of my favorites, handled business and won, which I'm glad because she's been on a losing streak. So I don't know if they're kind of setting her up for a match with Natty or not, but I kind of feel like they're teasing it. Next, we have the world, or not the world, but the NXT World Heavyweight Champ. Tony D calls out, I'm going to mess this up because it's Oscar's husband, Na, Naraku? Naruku? If you know this pronunciation, somebody please help me out there
I
because
do not. I have
I
no
am not
idea
doing
who
it
it is.
justice by far. Um,
It's
but
Oscar's husband.
yeah, Oscar's husband. That's probably the easiest way for us to say that.
Until I
But
figure out who it is, it's Oscar's husband.
Tony D was in the ring calling out people. Somebody came to attack him, and Oscar's husband came in and stopped it, even though he wants a shot at Tony D himself. Um, so he's definitely got a lot of heat, definitely a lot of challengers, not just from NXT, but people that because of course they promoted a bunch of people to WWE, Raw and SmackDown. So they brought in a bunch of new people from Involve, I think maybe AAA and maybe a couple other organizations, and just new hires. So there's a lot of fresh blood, and they're definitely all at least 4 or 5 people are gunning for Tony right now. Let's see. And then in the next Speed Championship match, we had Nate Frazier with Axion versus Roman Marano with Noah Dar. And this was kind of an upset. We thought the guys from Axiom would probably win, but the young kid Moreno defeated Frazier by pinfall to earn a title shot next week for the speed title.
I just
Uh,
I hate the speed championship.
I
Sorry.
know you've told me a million times. I don't have an issue with it. I think sometimes you don't really need a long match, and
No, but you also don't need unnecessary titles either.
I can
I
say
mean,
that about some of the women's titles
I
too.
agree. I agree. There's too many titles all around in WWE.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There should be one world champion, one mid card champion. You know what I'm saying? If you've got to relegate the US champion down to a TV title status and have it on, there every week, whatever, and a tag team championship. We don't need two of every championship because there's two shows.
Well, there's supposed to be 2 different organizations. Obviously, we know they cross over, and they're not. They're
And
basically
that's
one.
what makes it so much more stupid
Well,
because nobody sees, it's not like people don't say, oh, well, your dude's just right there. I
but
don't know.
also in their defense, some people can only watch one show. Like if you just got Netflix and you don't have TBS or USA or you don't have cable, all you're watching is
Well,
USA. So all you know is Raw.
bring
But
the
if
champ,
you
bring the champion. The champions are on both shows. That's the only two. That's the only two people that are on both shows.
now in this day and age, we know damn well they're not going to do no double
I know.
shows.
That's
You
just
know what I'm
dumb.
saying? That's not what they do nowadays.
I just think it's dumb.
Uh, Next, we had Shallow Hill, which was the former winner of LFG, versus Charlie Dempsey with Birthright, and we all know who Charlie Gentry is, don't we, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay, just
William
making
Regal's
sure. The son of
son.
William Regal.
Yes, yes.
Let's see. Hill defeated Dempsey by pinfall.
Oh,
And I think this was, let's see, the main event was NXT Women's Championship Lola Vice versus Izzy Dame. Like I said, there's just a lot of heat in the women's division right now. Challenges coming out the works. I honestly feel like it's a little bit better than men's right now. Either that,
I
or
agree.
at least Shawn Michael cares more about it, or he doesn't have. Um, Maybe Shawn has the advantage over Paul because with NXT they don't have any expectations. They don't expect much, so maybe he gets more free reign to do what he wants creatively. Like I don't feel like he's as restrained
They
as.
don't give a crap about celebrities on
Yes,
NXT.
yes, yes. Like you don't see celebrities, you don't see all the extra bull crap that's involved with the WWE, and I feel like in a way that makes it better because it's more wrestling. Like I feel like I get more matches out of NXT than I do WWE. I feel like I get more promos and more, talking than I do wrestling.
Yep.
But Lola Vice defeated Izzy to retain her NXT Women's Championship. And I think next week she has a match versus. Oh my God, who is it? I cannot remember. Not bad. But this brings us to last week's SmackDown, which
Well,
we
hold
actually
on. Let,
watched.
let me let me do let me do these, so we'll end it with our experience at
Okay, okay.
SmackDown. This is quick because NWO and NWA and them don't do a whole lot of matches. NWA Power May 23rd, 2026 from Forney, Texas. It was the Crockett Cup Finals. Eric Smalls defeated Daisy Kill in a Kiss My Boots match. Silas Mason, the champion, defeated Brian Idol in a No Limits Falls Count Anywhere match to retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. The Titans of Calamity, Ren Ayab, how do you say that? Iab and Talos defeated the Country Gentlemen. Oh, wow. AJ Kazana and KC Kazana with Joe Kazana in the 2026 Crockett Cup Finals. I'm sorry to hear that. How dare you two, the Titans of Calamity, beat the greatest tag team in the NWA right now. And in wrestling, y'all are tied right there with Grappling Inc. My book. Can't put one over the other. Love you both. But yeah, that was it. No additional NWA TV or major events reported for May 25th, 2029. TNA Impact for May 28th, 2026 from Sacramento, California. Men's Championship Challenge 10-man tag. Leon Slater, Casey Navarro, Frankie Kazarian, Eric Young, and Elijah defeated Mike Santana, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Mustafa Ali, the International Champion, Cedric Alexander, the X Division Champion, Bear Bronson, and Brian Myers, the Tag Team Champions. Within seconds, I guess it's saying, Casey Navarro pinned Mustafa Ali, earns a future TNA International Championship shot. Tessa Blanchard defeated Harley Hudson. Channing Stacks Lorenzo with Ariana Grace defeated Santino Morella with interference from Grace. Fabian Eicher defeated Eddie Edwards with Alicia Edwards by DQ after systems interference. Knockouts Champion Challenge Zia Brookside, Elena Black, and Mara Sade. I guess that's how you say that. I'm sorry. I'm probably butchering it. Defeated Li Ying Lee, Knockouts Champion, by Elegance and Heather by Elegance with seconds. Z Brooks, I guess it's Zia Brookside, pinned Li Ying Lee, earns future Knockouts title championship. I just read off a whole lot of matches for TNA. I'm gonna have to go watch it. It seems like they like to wrestle on their show.
Yeah, definitely. Probably more than just a 4 or 5 and a 3 hour show like
Right.
WWE.
Which I get NWA's because I think NWA only has like an hour long show. You know what I'm saying? So that's not bad. All right. So NWA Dynamite for May 27th, 2026 from Philadelphia. Key Dynamite highlight moments. Chris Jericho defeated Ricochet. Rush defeated Brian Cage, Orange Cassidy, and Leo Rush. Superstation Showcase 4-way. Tay J, Tay Mello, and Anna J defeated Ali Catch and Ava Everett. Uh, Owens Owen Hart Foundation Men's Tournament quarterfinals. Brody King defeated Claudio Castanelli. Mark Davis defeated Jack Perry. Key collision highlights: Will Ospreay, John Moxley, and Pac defeated the Rascals. Andrade El Idol, I guess that's his name, defeated Ace Austin. Chris Statlander defeated Hikaru Shide. I guess that's how you say it. I'm sorry. I know I'm killing this. And a lights out Philly street fight match. MJF had a world title celebration segment. Other angles involved Kevin Knight. The Jet attacking Speedball Mike Bailey, and ongoing Owen Hart tournament build up. So yeah, that was it. And now we are on to our SmackDown live coverage because that's where we was. We was live at SmackDown.
Are we
So what
going
did
to
you
talk
think?
about main event, or are we just going to kind of brush over it, or what? 'Cause
I'm
I
gonna
know
be honest with you, man. Well, the good
I didn't
the
even watch it, to be honest. I'm not even on front. Like, I did look at the results, but I totally forgot all about it. I'm
oh,
not
you
even going
talking
to
about
front.
you talking about the show main event. I thought
Yeah,
you
yeah,
meant the
yeah.
actual main event. Man, I don't even remember. It was one match that I think they filmed on main event, so I'm not even worried about that. What's his name? Kip Wilson beat
Oh, yeah.
what's his face? Or no, what's his
Uh,
face beat who won that? Kip Wilson or the other guy? Axiom.
uh, I think the Axiom guy won.
He may have. But anyways, yeah, it wasn't anything anybody worried about. But no, I mean, overall, I thought it was a pretty good show. I
But
mean,
SmackDown?
yeah, I could have dealt with another match.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was a lot of commercial. There was a lot of waiting around for commercials.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. Um, it's really cool to see how they do that. You know, how they play a commercial and then just before the commercial comes back on, they'll start playing the music
I
again.
noticed that too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
So it
makes it
looks
seem
like
like
it
it would
just
keep going the
happened.
whole time and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. I kind of noticed that too. Like, I don't know if you noticed it too.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, that's a little weird and everything. I mean, I guess it's the way you got to do TV production and everything with because you got to pay the bills. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a pretty good card. Um, I'll be honest with you, like I said, other than the fact that, you know, I kind of wish Cody would have faced somebody bigger than Sami Zayn for the amount of money that we paid.
Yeah.
But it was a good match. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a bad match, but I also understand it was on SmackDown. So it had to follow a storyline. It was set
Uh,
up already. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It wasn't like a dark match that we could just get an anybody versus anybody match.
Yeah. I
Uh,
thought I
yeah,
enjoyed it, like I said too. I think we had pretty decent seats. You know what I'm saying? I like that we were able to see some of the behind production. Like we saw when they were bringing out Trick Williams lights, or when they were setting up the explosions for, say, Rhea Ripley, or whoever it was that was coming through. So that's a lot of shit that you don't get to see, that they don't show on camera. Like you just see kind of like them coming out. You don't see that, the guy running out, setting up stuff, or the other guy running back, pulling stuff back type shit. So I definitely enjoyed that.
yeah,
Like you said, the card was, it was all right. Like I said, I think it always can be just a little bit better. I wasn't upset about it though. I think that, because of course you had your daughter, and I had my nephew, and they had a great time.
yes.
She was screaming, and I ain't never seen him that quiet in my life, especially for like 2 hours. I don't care what it is. I have never seen that boy that quiet and stuck for 2 or 3 hours. So he definitely enjoyed the show. But on a funny note, though, and I don't want to try to embarrass him or anything, but he was telling his mom about it, and he might have told her that he got to get in the ring and he got a belt from Cody Rhodes.
To have the imagination of a kid, man, that's
I
great.
know, I know.
Mom, check his belt out, man. You see this? I beat
And
Cody Rhodes.
and see, because his mom was texting my girlfriend like, oh, like Jace told me that he got in the ring and he got the belt and all this other stuff. Oh, y'all got video of that or anything? And I'm like, yeah, that didn't happen. But
That didn't happen,
now it
but
happened to somebody else that probably paid $1,500 for a
right,
ticket and shit, but not us. But
right. The
still,
sad thing about it is like if where you usually got to cut out early at the EWA events and everything, y'all don't get to hang around till
I
after
know, God,
to
it
where
kills
he
me,
could
man.
get
'Cause,
a picture or two with the belt
yeah,
and stuff and everything.
yeah, or be able to get in the ring or something like that. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I got to start figuring something on that out, man. Because I hate having to leave so early because I always miss the main event.
dude, and
I
it's
never get
been
to
good here lately.
stand after and just chop it up with anybody, like unless it's vacation and I'm off or something like that. But
Yeah,
yeah, I definitely hate that. But all in all, saying like the only thing I could really bitch about was, of course, the price of shit. But that was to be expected. I knew going in that tickets were going to be a little pricey. That
yeah,
because we complain about it all the time.
yep.
Concessions were concessions. They're always going to
Yeah,
triple that shit no matter what.
they're just marked up a little bit. Yeah,
Shit, yeah,
if
I
that's
took
a
out a
little bit, I hate to
loan.
see a lot. Right?
But
Yeah.
all in all, I had a good time. And see, that's what I
Yes.
feel like a lot of kids and a lot of families are going to miss out on because of prices being so high.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to miss a whole generation of family that taking their kids to wrestling. And once you lose that generation, it's hard to get that back because I don't know about you, but I feel like it starts from a young age. All the
Yep.
people that we've ever talked to on our show have known for a long time since they were kids that they liked wrestling or like wanted to be a wrestler or that they wanted to have some involvement in wrestling. And it started as a kid. Most of them talk about, oh, I watched this match, or my parents took me to this wrestling, to this one. And they're not going to have that experience. They're not going to meet that superstar that's going to make them want to wrestle, or turn wrestling into a hobby or a lifestyle and stuff because mom and dad didn't take me. I did something else instead of going and watching wrestling and shit.
Yep.
And it's just so sad. Like I feel like people are getting cheated. Like I'm not saying it's like school and and they'll never recover, but I think it's good for families. Like I think it's good to spend time with your family, to take the boys, the kids out, the girls, mom and dad, all of them, everybody get together and do something together to take your eyes off a screen.
Yeah.
Whether it's your phone, whether it's your fucking television or a laptop, just get out there and watch something live.
Touch some grass, so to
Yes,
speak.
as the kids say, go out there and touch some grass nowadays.
It's just sad because, like, but see, there's where it is though. That's where it's our job as podcasters to get these independent shows out to you all,
Yes.
which is what, because these are the shows that we can still go to. These are the shows that you can still take your family to. You can still enjoy wrestling. And, we was talking when we first started this, when we had our former co-host with us, the Vipers, and I asked a question, and at first I got some backlash about it and everything, and I know she's not here to get her opinion on it, but let me ask you this again in retrospect with what we know now a year later before we get out of here. Being an independent wrestler,
Mhm.
and I don't mean this as a knock, but being an independent wrestler and never making it to the show, whatever company the show is to you,
Yeah.
is that something to just say, hey, I would, of course, everybody always wants to and would,
Uh-huh.
But do you think there's ever any that, knowing what we know now, and I think there is, that just get into it and say, you know what, I don't care about that. I just want to wrestle.
I think like before, like I knew anything about the indie circuit, and I don't ever claim to be an expert because I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I mean, don't get it
Right.
twisted. You know, like we've only
Same.
been as far as indie, like we've only been into it about a year. But I believe that you can make a decent living and have a good career just doing an indie circuit. I believe that some of these states, especially like Texas, California, are so big that you can make a really good living. And I think some of these areas are, where people travel, like people that wrestle don't just stay in Kentucky. They go to Tennessee,
Right.
they go to Illinois. Same thing for any other wrestler. Like if you're in West Virginia, you're going to Kentucky, you're going to Ohio, you're going to Virginia, West Virginia, whatever it is.
We got
So
soon to be international friend too.
yeah,
OGUGLY. Shout out.
definitely. So I believe, like I said, you don't have to be in WWE to make a good living, and I think some people they want to be WWE, but I think other people, just like we've met, that they're happy as long as their kid knows their name, as long as they have a little action figure or T-shirt. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to be the biggest person in the room, or kind of like you said, they don't have to be a a they're happy with being a big fish in a little pond. They don't have to be you know a little fish in a big pond type deal or whatever.
They do it because they love it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, and that just goes to show it's not always about the money and the fame. Sometimes it's just I just love doing this.
Yep.
I just like going out there and being in front of people. I just like going out and showing them what I can do. And if I make a good living, I do. But if I still have to work another job and I still get to travel and meet interesting people and get to see, different places, my life's still good. My life's still great. I've still lived my dream. I did what I wanted to do. And there's not a lot of people in this world who can say that they did what they wanted to do in life, especially from a young age. 'Cause like you said, most of these people we know, they've had this dream since they were a little kid and shit. Like, it wasn't like they just became, 21 and was like, hey man, I want to be a wrestler or some shit, or, I just hit 30 and I decided I want to wrestle. Like, this is shit they thought about for a long time or, envisioned.
Yep.
They didn't just chance upon this.
I agree. They really do love the fact that they do it, and there's a lot of them that we've met like that. I would say I can't think of one person I've met independent wrestling wise that doesn't just love wrestling.
Exactly.
And anybody can play a game, anybody can give you a face, and tell you one thing, and be reaching for the stars just for the money, and hey, that's fine and good. But there's nobody that I've suspected of being like fake like that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody I've encountered just genuinely loves this stuff the same way we do.
Yeah,
And
I
it's refreshing. You know what I'm saying? Watching independent wrestling as opposed to going to SmackDown, independent wrestling has kind of restored my faith in wrestling.
it definitely gave me a different perspective. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like it was kind of like you said once before. Like when I first looked at indie wrestling, I was like, okay, that's not WWE. I don't care about it. But the older I get and the more that I've learned about it, I realize that it's just as competitive. It's just as dangerous. It's just as interesting. It just
Yes.
doesn't have it as much production to go with it like the big boys.
That's it. And the main thing, they're good and it's affordable. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? They're good. They're so good that I sit and watch them on YouTube now. I probably watch the indies more than I do WWE and stuff. just if I'm being totally honest. And I watch a lot of NWA Power. I like NWA. I'm an old school NWA guy, but it just, yeah, guys, get out here and support these indies. We didn't mean to keep you on this late. We've been trying to cut these shows a little bit shorter and everything. We just got tied up into it and everything because of some of these subjects. But yeah, Uncle Slam, you got anything else for these good people?
No, sir. I'm tapped out tonight.
Yes, and if all holds true and everything goes the way we want it to, we hope it does. Next week, our guest on Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc will be former WWE wrestler, WWF wrestler of the 80s and 90s. You all know him as Mario Mancini. It is going to be a huge honor next week to get to
Yes,
sit down
sir.
and listen to the just the knowledge this man has. I mean, he's been in the ring with all of them. He's been in the ring with the Jakes. Everybody. You name him, he's probably been in the ring, in the locker room. So the stories that we're going to have next week are going to be great. Yeah, Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We're going to get that done for you next week. So tune in next week, 8 p.m. Eastern. Mario Mancini on Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc. Uncle Sam, you got anything else?
No, sir. I told you I'm tapped out today.
Works for me. Guys, referees hit that 3 count, so we're going to ring that damn bell.